Hulk and Junior hooked up and got into we're going to change the world. This was their problem. New York, big man territory, third generation promoter. It's the way it is. You can't tame it, it's the law. All of a sudden, Rick Martel, who's a really dear friend of mine, and I used to live with, share an apartment. He also lived and shared an apartment with Hogan. And he told me and he told Hogan when we didn't know, he said, hey, you guys should hook up. Because he was friends with Hogan, big, like from the heart, and also myself from the heart. And so when I come to New York, there was a bit of a peace mat there. That's what made it so hard. And then what made it so hard was they never had somebody as a heel go boom so fast. And so because all of a sudden what started happening was these were the integral parts so he could change Hogan versus Piper to WWF on the marquee. Right. So, you know, I never hear thanks for the name, you know. Anyway, and Hogan and Piper were already packaged. You didn't have to, but okay, here we go, and it's the war to settle the score. We'll have Piper do the job. Why? He's a champion. You want to come back in a tag? Why the fuck you want to beat me for? No sense.
Now, the Hogan that walks in January of '84, straight out of Vern. I mean, this is before Cyndi Lauper and all that. We'll get to all that. But here's Hogan just coming in, and we don't know if it's going to succeed or not, right? Compare that Hogan's demeanor, humbleness, with the guy a year later that rode the '84 into '85 thing. Was it a different Hogan, or was Terry the same from January of '84 straight through?
Well, I think that all of us got a little rougher. I think all of us, you know, everybody's playing for keeps. Hogan, with myself, I have never had a face-to-face confrontation outside the ring with Hogan. Nor has, I've heard, you know, I've heard him say things behind my back. But you know, that don't mean nothing to me. Stand in line there. But you know, there's a definite honor code of competition. It's kind of like war, having the Helsinki Agreement or whatever. You know, only 4 bamboo shoots under the fingers.
Honor among thieves.
Yeah, kind of.
Now, Mean Gene also debuts. At this same taping that Piper comes in. This is a hell of a taping. You got Piper coming in, you got Hogan coming in, you got Mean Gene coming in. How much credit should we give Mean Gene for the on-camera product in the 80s?
Good question. Really good question. Like the guys I had gone through before Mean Gene was like Marty out of Minneapolis. Used to have the little glasses, Marty, can't remember his last name, but and then Frank Culverton in Portland. Who else?
Different than Gene Howe. Was Gene the prototypical announcer in many ways?
I'm almost there. See, then, because like I'm going, okay, because as I went along, I'm going Marty, and then that's an announcer, and you guys will be able to find him on AWA, Marty, da-da-da. And then go to TBS and Gordon Soley.
Sure.
Gordon Soley, I worked with him. I was the very first ever active wrestling heel to take that position. And Gordon Soley, who was, I mean, because now you're talking Mean, but Gordon Soley was hugely respected and allowed me to come in and just do what I wanted to do and play with me instead of taking any ego to it. So it was really hard for me to get out of Gordon Soley. I loved Gordon so much. But what Mean Gene brought And with the WWF, EFG, whatever it is, what they brought though was Mean Gene was in the tuxedo, the bow tie. They do their studies on the colors and what the colors, do to the brain, and set it up. And he's got a cadence, and boom, and he sells the product instead of selling himself. And he's a great face guy on there. He's always, he doesn't miss a beat. And if something does go wrong, it doesn't bother him a bit. He's cool under fire. Go ahead.
A touch of the comedy in him too.
Yeah.
That Gordon maybe lacked.
Yes.
Gordon was calling it straight, but
yes.
Gene, you could take all over the place. The funny stuff, the straight stuff.
You could. I think like with Gordon, because he would come from the kind of like the St. Louis clique with Pat O'Connor and the Harley Races and Jack Briscoe's and Dump Funks would come through there, and Gordon, would be in there. The TBS so big. That's our biggest show, I think, at that time to be on for a wrestler, other than WOR. WOR had New York out, So Gordon was trained to kind of tote the line, not give him. But I think that also, as much as Gordon brought the credibility to it, Mean Gene brought the spice and what was needed to make that bridge. I'm a big fan of it.
A bit of a package, maybe, Hogan and Gene coming over together?
Yes, Hogan's smart there. Hogan names him Mean Gene, and then every time anybody else says Mean Gene, it refers to Hogan. Those are good ones. Those are good ones. I got some on you too. And they played off each other. They had practiced in Minneapolis for a couple of years. They were comfy, and so this is the thing with like anything you get. Mean Gene, when Mean Gene says Hulk Hogan's, there's an extra volume, there's an extra, look up the Brunswick Affair. It's a huge conspiracy that'll teach you about this other thing. But the volume of Hulk Hogan and Hulk Hogan.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, I know them all. And so yeah, they made a great player.